Welcome to the Ricky Matthews Show from the Citizens Bank Studio. I hope you're having a great day as we continue to celebrate so many wonderful people across the great state of Mississippi who are working in the trenches to make this such a great place to live, work, and play. Hey, second half of the show today, we have Singing River Health Talk. We're going to actually talk about some important blood drives coming up with this wonderful partnership between the Blood Center and Singing River Health System. You'll enjoy that conversation. So that's coming up in the second half. And, if you think about this time of year, all across the state of Mississippi, so many incredible things happening in literally every town as it relates to the holidays. And I want to say that one of the small coastal gems of Mississippi's coast is Waveland, Mississippi, one of my favorite places, buzzing with lots of great progress, and there's a lot to talk about. I always enjoy visiting with my friend, the mayor of the city of Waveland, Jay Trapani. Jay, how you doing, my friend?
Doing great, Ricky. Thank you for having me on again.
It's a great place.
Once a month.
Yeah, I would love to do that. I love having you as we bring attention to the great progress that's happening in your wonderful city. But man, Christmas is a cool time to be in Waveland, isn't it?
It is. And we have decorated a couple of the streets in Waveland with snowflakes. We have the main street, Coleman Avenue, decorated, and we'll be having a celebration this Friday. We have a Christmas parade. Christmas parade.
Yeah, right. Yeah, tell us about it.
It starts at 6:00, and it's free to enter. Golf carts, old cars, walking groups. Just about anybody that wants to join it. It's not a long route. It probably takes 45 minutes to an hour to walk it. But it's something we started 2 years ago, and people really like it, and so we wanted to do it again. And it should be great.
Hey, listen, I remember so well growing up in coastal Mississippi. Some of the best parades I ever attended, Mardi Gras and the like, were in Waveland. You've got a great parade history there, don't you?
We do. I'm starting to tell everybody we're the parade city. Everybody wants to put a parade in Waveland.
That's cool, man. And after Hurricane Katrina, you wondered if you'd ever have a parade again. And it's amazing.
I know.
Yeah, go ahead.
No, I said, we didn't know what was going to happen. Everything, we always talk about it. 90% of the city was destroyed. So I knew I was coming back. I didn't know who else was going to come back, but we're growing and growing right now. So it's good.
Hey, listen, since we last talked, the last time we talked, we did give a nod to the former mayor of Waveland, Mike Smith, who'd been on the show so many times. He finally succumbed to his health challenges. Sad to see him go, because he really loved that city, and he was your predecessor. But more recently, like I think at the end of November, you guys, did kind of a special commemoration of him. Tell us more about that.
Yeah, we had a small event inside of the Coleman Avenue fire station, and we dedicated that fire station to Mike Smith in his memory. So it's now the Mike Smith Coleman Fire Station. We probably had 100 people show up. It was a Saturday after Thanksgiving. Some people were traveling, but it was a great event. The family was very satisfied and happy with the amount of people that showed up. A lot of crying going on as usual, but it was a great event.
Well, he has spent most of his adult life giving back as a first responder there. I think what a wonderful way to give a nod to him. He was certainly a dedicated mayor. And so, recognizing him as a result of his fire commitment over all those years, it seemed like the right thing to do, didn't it?
Oh, it surely did. I mean, I think up somewhere about 38 years total service to the city of Waveland. Started off as a firefighter, going to assistant fire chief, and then mayor for 8 years. So great history with that man in the city.
So look, it's important to, when you think about what's happening in the city. Obviously, you and I chatted about it before, but this new hotel after so many years of working on it. It's going to mean a lot to the city, isn't it?
It is. It's going to bring future residents to the city, and that's what we're hoping for. We've talked about it in the past. When people come to the Stennis Space Center and spend the night, they can now spend the night in Waveland. And well, when it's finished in about a year, and if they get transferred into the Stennis, they usually buy a home in the area that they're familiar with. So the hotel is going to bring people to this area, get them familiar, and hopefully they move here one day.
Yeah, I mean, listen, when people think about Stennis, I said this the other day on my show, and actually I was on Richard Cross's show talking about the need for us to take a regional approach in coastal Mississippi to around some big stuff. And we talked about land availability in places like Pearl River County, in southern Stone County, northern Harrison County. When people think about Stennis, obviously they think about Hancock County. They should also think about Pearl River County. But the reality is, when you made this point really clear, that when someone comes to Stennis for a job opportunity, and there are so many high-paying jobs there, if they stay at that new hotel in Waveland, chances are they might relocate to Waveland and not to somewhere like Pearl River County or Louisiana or so on. You know those statistics well, but having a first-class hotel for them to stay in so they can get familiar with this wonderful city, what a great possibility for you guys as an economic development tool.
Oh, it's fantastic. And it's funny because the developers of the hotel actually live in Pearl River County, and they have a hotel in Pearl River County, but they saw the need in Hancock County. And a $16 million project in any county in coastal Mississippi is a nice sized project to have.
Yeah. Hey, tell us more about the hotel for people who have not heard us talk about it before.
It's like I said, $16 million dual brand Marriott hotel. It'll be 110 rooms total. About half the rooms will be short-term stay, and the other half will be long-term stay with kitchenettes and things like that. So it's really shaping up out there. I need to go out there and talk to the superintendent and get an opening date, because people ask me all the time. They're anxious to stay there, and I don't know what to tell them. I'm thinking it's going to be about this time next year.
It's so interesting when you think about the Garfield Ladner Memorial Pier and the repairs that you need to make there. I can remember over a bunch of years getting updated about it and lots of hoops to jump through and all that. Do you finally feel like you've gotten there?
We accepted the low bid last Tuesday night at our city meeting. So J.E. Bory's out of, I can't remember if they're out of Jackson County or Harrison County. I'm confused. But they were awarded the bid. Once they get their bond and the insurance set, we're hoping they'll get ready to start right after the first of the year. Hopefully we can get it completed by Memorial Day. That would be my goal, to get it done right at the beginning of the summer.
You could write a case study on the hoops that FEMA made you jump through.
3 years. 3 years I've been working on this, trying to get it done. And I think we're at that point. Unless, you never know with FEMA if they throw up another roadblock. But everything on our end is set, ready to go. They've told us the allocation money. So I don't see what's going to stop at this time.
Well, the Garfield Ladner Memorial Pier is at the foot of Coleman Avenue, which is a really important thoroughfare in the city of Waveland. And for a lot of reasons, that pier is kind of critical to the overall vision for the city, isn't it?
It is, because the whole complex down there at the end of Coleman Avenue, we have the Veterans Memorial. That's a beautiful memorial to World War II veterans and World War I veterans. We got the lighthouse, which is just a beautiful place to go watch sunrises, sunsets, and just look at the Mississippi Sound. We'll have the pier, and we have volleyball courts. So it just complements everything that's already there, and it brings people to this area. Coleman is starting to grow again commercially, We have Ricky's restaurant that opened up right around Cruising the Coast. We have pylons in the ground for another restaurant that's coming that really doesn't have a name yet. And we have some other things on the drawing board that should get started in the next 6 months. So, but the pier, you need people. The pier brings the people down here.
In fact, the last time you and I talked, Ricky's had just opened. And what we'll do when we come back on the other side, we'll talk about how important it was to get that restaurant open and what it means to the city and the specific location that it's in. That's super important because you've got and Waveland's an interesting city, and we'll kind of give you a sense of it geographically here in just a second. But you've got the portion that's on Highway 90. And some people know Waveland that way, but you've got the portion that's on Beach Boulevard, and some people know Waveland that way. Some people know, obviously, from both perspectives. But we'll talk about how this city is evolving, kind of recapturing the essence of what it was before Katrina and why that's so important. Also, residential development continues, and lots of good news there. Floodplain management's a big part of the conversation. We'll talk about that, too, when we come back on the other side with the mayor of the city of Waveland, Jay Trapani. We'll see you after this break. Welcome back to the Ricky Matthews Show from the Citizens Bank Studio. We're visiting with Mayor Jay Trapani, who's the mayor of the city of Waveland, someone I really enjoy spending time with. Mayor, when you think about the city, and let's say you're in Biloxi or Ocean Springs or Pascagoula or somewhere, you're talking to someone who's not been to the city before. I kind of drew a little bit of a picture before we went to break, saying there's sort of this Highway 90 perspective that some people see, and there's certainly the Beach Boulevard perspective. How do you talk about the geography of Waveland?
Well, you're perfectly right. Waveland's in three different parts: Highway 90, the beach, and then the street that I sit on today, Coleman Avenue. And Coleman Avenue only runs for 3 blocks between the CSX Railroad and the beach. But prior to Katrina, we had 32 businesses in that 3-block area, and everything was destroyed. Every building south of the railroad tracks on Coleman. So we rebuilt City Hall. I think it opened around 2014. And now we got Ricky's restaurant open again. Ricky's was open for about 5 years prior to Katrina.
And like you talked about the last time we talked, the opportunities once you get Ricky's open, of course, with the City Hall there, that you hope that other businesses will start to evolve. And the heart of Coleman Avenue, it won't be what it was before. Maybe it'll be bigger and better before it's all said and done. That's the hope, isn't it?
Yeah, we would hope that. Like I mentioned earlier, we have a local person who owns restaurants along the coast who's already put pylons in the ground. Where it happens to be where Ricky's used to be, a little bit closer to the beach from where I sit, right in the beginning of the 2nd block. So they had to elevate, and that should be about another year before that one is open. But I have other people calling me, other plans we're viewing, other businesses that want to come in. And it just they needed that first person to take that leap and start it all. And I knew that would happen once Ricky's came with his history and so many people like his food that it would just bring more people down here. And, my relative, Tony Trapani, with Trapani's restaurant in Bay St. Louis, Tony's passed on. But when they started building restaurants around him, I said, man, this is going to hurt you. And he said, no, it's not. It's just going to bring more people down here. And that's what we're hoping for. Since Ricky's open,
go ahead.
We get a lot of traffic. So it'll be appealing to new developers to come in.
So how are they doing? They're doing well?
They're doing very well, very well. Like all restaurants, they're going through their growing pains or their opening pains, but they're doing very well. Open every day of the week except Monday and Tuesday.
So, what you've seen in that part of the city since Hurricane Katrina, and we'll get to some of the floodplain management issues, which is obviously very significant in some respects, because Katrina hit coastal Mississippi. I've often said that it's not fair. Because, what they should have done is model Katrina in every community, have every community have to deal with this, not just the ones that took the direct hit. But in terms of rebuilding, we know what needs to happen now. You mentioned the new restaurant. The pylons are are driven, they're going to have to build higher. That's for sure. But there are a lot of residential. The residential story in that part of Waveland's pretty good, isn't it?
It is. It is. We've probably got 15 to 20 homes being built at all times. I may have mentioned this in a previous show. People are moving here from Baton Rouge. They're moving here from Hattiesburg. They're moving here definitely from New Orleans. So the coast is so attractive to people, and how many people have you met that they come here on a vacation and they go, wow, I never knew this place existed. They wind up buying a piece of property, retiring here. So it happens every day.
Yeah, it does. In fact, I had Pete Vicari from Vicari Auctions. He's the guy who does the big car show at the Coliseum during Cruising the Coast. And he tells me that just about every year, as you well know from the experience that Waveland has with Cruising the Coast there, that people come in from all over the country and virtually every state in Canada and some further than that. And they fall in love with this place and they end up buying land and either retiring here or having a second home. Almost every year there's a story like that. But it's one of those places where you come to it as, certainly as part of Louisiana. Louisiana's part of Waveland's story. We've chatted about this before, but there was literally a point in Mississippi's history where Waveland was thought to be part of Louisiana and not Mississippi. There were so many people from Louisiana who lived there. But you know that history well, don't you?
I do, because I traveled back and forth. I was a weekender for so long, but I waited and waited to have the opportunity to move here. Now I've been here 24 years, so I wish I'd have done it many, many years ago. I just, with kids in school and work, it's hard to pick up and leave. And so when I had the chance, I did it.
Yeah, so I've referred to the floodplain management that is taking place, but this is when you think about the ABFE requirements, or how you have to build a home or a business, and just overall the floodplain management implications for a city like Waveland, it's critical, isn't it?
It is. And, there's been some new floodplain maps that have been submitted to FEMA about, over a year ago that we're waiting. But aside from that, we started our own project to try to lower the flood ratings, especially on Coleman Avenue. And we had our kickoff meeting today. We're trying to lower the CRS rating, which lowers the flood insurance costs to all the residents. And, we're at a 15% discount now. We're trying to go to another 10, to a 25% discount. And on a single home, it doesn't seem like a whole lot of money, but we have 1,800 homes that are in the National Flood Insurance Program. So, put the dollar savings to those 1,800, it's a pretty good savings.
Well, listen, as we know, when the new risk rating 2.0 flood insurance program came out, that it was really onerous, because essentially what happened is when a home, let's say a home was grandfathered in, what would happen in those cases, they'll continue to get those annual increases. And to me, I'd describe it as sort of like a frog boiling in water. Within a few years, they'd end up reaching what they call the new target rate for that home. And it would be a lot of money. But if that home changes hands, they immediately go to that target rate. And it was very onerous, these new rates. I know Pascagoula has really worked hard to lobby against it, because a lot of Pascagoula was forced into the floodplain. And so if let's say a home was less than 50% damaged, you were able to rebuild it. But if even all these years later, you go in and you want to make some major refinements to that home that is more than 50% of the value of that home, then what ends up happening is you get thrown into that new rate. It was just so onerous. And it's amazing to me, after all these years, we're still battling with FEMA over that.
Yeah, exactly. And it's not a week that goes by that I don't have somebody in the building department. I have to walk down there and try to explain the 50% rule to them. The kicker is, where do you set the value of the home? And you can't go to the tax assess value, you really have to get a real estate appraiser to give you a true value of the home, because then that 50% is so much higher.
Hey, what was interesting when, yeah, it's so much, yeah, and that would encourage maybe some renovations that otherwise would not be
Right.
able to be made because it has that higher value. What was interesting
Exactly.
when the first came out, I studied very specifically what was happening in other states, and Florida was a unique position because Florida was impacted greatly across from Key West all the way up, impacted by risk rating 2.0. And you know who one of their most outspoken proponents was for the state of Florida and sort of against FEMA? It was Marco Rubio, but unfortunately Marco's in a new position now as Secretary of State and not as focused on it like he used to be. But they had good leadership alignment around that at one point. I'm hoping that they still have that. We certainly have a long list of leaders here in coastal Mississippi who are focused on it, but there are some adjustments that need to be made. I'm hoping that under the Trump administration, we can find that place that will enable coastal Mississippi not to get kicked so hard again by these high insurance rates, which are in some cases very, very onerous. I mean, when you add it to the wind aspect of it, it is you got to be, in some cases, you got to be rich to be able to move close to the beach. It's just the reality of the situation we're in, isn't it?
It is. And, we're lucky that President Trump put former Governor Phil Bryant on his board to look at moving FEMA out of Washington, D.C. down to the state. So it's going to be really interesting to see how that turns out.
Yeah, in fact, I've had conversations with Phil recently, actually, and he said he's actually close to being able to come on my show and talk about the whole process and where they are and what he's learning and how Mississippi plays into that overall discussion. I'm hoping he comes on sooner or later, but he's, gave me a good update. He's happy about where they are, and they are doing some serious homework on this. And I hope we land in a good place. They're getting a lot of feedback, that's for sure. But Jay, it's been a pleasure to spend some time with you, my friend.
Thank you, Ricky. Anytime, just give me a heads up and I'm ready to go.
Yeah, this for sure. This has been Jay Trapani, the mayor of the city of Waveland. Always enjoy visiting with him. Have a great day. When we come back on the other side, we're going to have Singing River Health Talk. We'll see you after this.